Hello, and welcome to the Indiewood Podcast, a podcast about independent film and the many hats filmmakers wear in order to get those films made. Every month, I am joined by a new filmmaker, a new creative, where we talk about their approach to the craft and how they thrive within the visual medium of film. And this month, I've been talking to a wonderful creative, a wonderful writer, director, and producer, and my former UCLA professor in grad school. So welcome, George Huang.
Glad to be here, even though we need to get you a stylist.
Yeah, I'm wearing the
seriously,
same outfit.
the same outfit 4 weeks in? I'm beginning to think that you just don't care.
Yeah.
You know, if we were going out on a date, you would have changed. But, you know.
it's one of my favorite outfits. I got the high socks with the high jeans, a sweater, is it these Converse?
They look like Vans.
Yeah, maybe they're Vans. When I'm stylish, I never change.
Okay, there you go. No, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right?
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. When we were prepping the pod, we talked a lot about film school because we met at film school.
Yeah, that was our entry point. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you had this interesting thought, like, well, how did you now me being at a film school, grad school, 8 years now? No, not 8 years.
No,
well,
7.
2018 to 2005.
Right. 7 years.
7 years? Okay, yeah, almost 8. How was it? You asked me, like, how was it for you? And I had the same questions, like, how do you see it evolving, and what are the costs and benefits? And so I wanted to unpack that a bit more with you.
Yeah. Well, film school's always been sort of a, how do I say, it's always been a conundrum for me. Like, so, I went to USC, which is, oh my God, the film,
But you didn't go, but you did the Peter Stark program.
I did the Peter Stark program. But again, even then it was drilled into us, like, oh, you're the best of the best of the best. When you get out of here, you'll have your choice of any job you want. You're going to be running a studio. It's like, really? Okay, wow, this is great. Of course, you get out. It's like, hey, I've got my MFA from USC. And just crickets, or like get in the back of the line. It's like, okay, so I spent 2 years and $100,000 for this? What? So I've got sort of like very mixed feelings about it. I mean, one of the things that we'll say about USC, at least in the Peter Stark program, one of the big things they do is your first year, there's a summer internship that they guarantee you that usually ends up being, your pathway into the business. So the Peter Stark program, one of its like biggest draws is it gives you guarantees you a summer internship that usually becomes your pathway into the business. A lot of Peter Stark grads, they started out at like an agency, like David Kramer, who's now the head of UTA, had his internship there. Jonathan Glickman, ran like a couple studios that he started out as, I think, Revolution, and now he's like the head of I think United Artists. Yeah. My internship, because I was already working at Paramount as a financial analyst, they had me place me because of my business background. They put me in accounting, where I discovered I'd be interning for myself. So I'm going, and plus, I told him, it's like, I want to be more on the creative side.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, but based on your resume, that's Paramount wants you in the finance department. You go, they already have me in the finance department.
Yeah, I'm already working here.
Yeah, and they're paying me for it. It's not a free internship. And so, sadly, I did not get the benefit of, that entry point that a lot of other sort of Peter Stark grads, and so it's with some bitterness that, I left USC and like, okay, I'm massively in debt. I can't get a job. What's going on? And then even as coming up through the, business, like, like Robert Rodriguez, he never graduated from film school. Quentin Tarantino was very vocal and always jabbing me about my film school bona fides. Like he would constantly quiz me, like, okay, hey, Mr. Film School, what's your 3 favorite George Stevens movies? It's like, what? Are you quizzing me? Wait, go. It's like, okay, Giant, Shane, but it's like, Place in the Sun. It's just like they feel there's not an authenticity there if you're a film school guy. Even to this day, like, I was on the set of Weekend in Taipei. Okay, I want to get like the next shot should be this coverage, and Luke would like slap my hand and goes, oh, Mr. Film School, stop. You don't need. You got what you need. Just move on. It's like, okay, So it does. I think sometimes it can drill bad habits into you.
Yeah.
Again, I look at the way Robert made El Mariachi. With my film school knowledge, I would have never even tried, because it's like, it's so out of the box and so like, oh, well, that's never going to work. So sometimes, the dogmatic approach to teaching film can actually be a limitation. And so, I got introduced to sort of coming to UCLA to teach by Gina Kim, one of the professors there.
Mm-hmm.
I had written a script for her called Final Recipe that starred Michelle Yeoh.
Mm-hmm.
And, we had such a wonderful experience, and she was already teaching at UCLA. She told me, it's like, hey, there's a position for a screenwriting professor that's opened up. You should apply. And I said, well, look, I do want to teach, but I'm still working right now. And she goes, oh, no, UCLA is a research
Yeah.
institution. You're supposed to be, quote unquote, doing your research while you teach. And that means you should be making movies while you teach. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, this would be the best of both worlds. For one, my parents would stop giving me law school applications because I'd have a real job. And so,
Mm.
yeah, so I applied for it. It was like a 2-year process. And finally, yeah, I got the job and came into sort of like the idea of teaching. And what I loved about UCLA's program is that 434 that we discussed earlier, the idea that you have to generate screenplays.
Yeah.
Yeah. In my time at USC, I only wrote one screenplay. You
That's
know?
what I keep hearing from like the
Yeah.
Stark program
Uh-huh.
and the screenwriting
Yeah,
program.
yeah.
You write the one thing and you
Exactly.
work
And
it to
you're
death.
working it to
Yeah.
death, you're spending all your time on it. Where at UCLA, it's just like, oh yeah, every quarter, every 10 weeks, you're writing, 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 writing. You're
Mm-hmm.
developing that writing muscle,
Yeah.
which is
Mm-hmm.
priceless. I mean, that is worth its weight in gold. Yeah. I mean, it's sort of those reps that you get in, as you're starting out, that will help you discover who you are as a writer. It'll help you find out, okay, well, I made a mistake there. That won't happen again.
Yeah.
The only way you're really going to get this done is by doing it.
Yeah. 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 Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, there's, you can teach you the craft or the basics of screenwriting, but you can get that from YouTube videos or a
Yeah.
book these days. Yeah. So the real value is just holding you accountable
Mm-hmm.
to generate pages and really make movies, make screenplays. There's a book that Robert Rodriguez hands out to any collaborator he starts
Mm-hmm.
working with for the first time, whether it's an actor, whether it's another screenwriter. It's called Art and Fear,
Mm-hmm.
and it talks about a ceramics class where the professor says at the beginning of the class, okay, you can be sort of graded on, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I know
whether
what you're
it's the
talking. Yeah.
one,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you can be graded on, you can turn in one pot and we'll grade you on that, or I will grade you on the quantity of pots that you make. Some students go, oh, I'm horrible at this. I better start like, churning out pots. And some others are like, oh, I got this, and I'm going to work on creating the one perfect pot. Well, it turns out it's a student that made the most pots that turned out the best work.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it is that sort of letting go, just doing it, developing the muscle, trusting your instincts, getting to that point where, I tell students like, look, the hardest part for me of like being a new dad was I was not getting a lot of time to write. And, I actually missed it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so I want to get all of you as students to that point where the writing is so ingrained for you that if you're not working out, if you're not doing the writing, you actually feel, oh, there's a gaping hole in my
Yeah.
soul.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and that's what I think is great about the 2-year program at UCLA.
I
Mhm.
agree. That's what it did for
Mhm.
me. I came in initially uh, with this idea, not this idea, but
Mhm.
this like missing piece where
Right.
I was writing and I had
Mhm.
read books and
Right.
self studied and written creatively for since like middle school,
Right.
and I was like, I could do this, it's fine, and I wrote a screenplay and I'm like, why does my first act suck?
Right.
Yeah, why does this
Yeah.
suck?
Uh-huh.
And then I realized like, oh, I'm missing these really core components of the process of writing.
Mm.
That's what I liked about UCLA. That's what it did for me
Mhm.
is it imbued me with this sense of structure
Mhm.
and repetition
Right.
that helped refine my approach to writing.
Mhm.
Because when I first what brought me to film school was this like hole in my writing process. And I've written before, like I've been creatively writing since I was in middle school.
Mhm.
And then when I wrote my first couple of screenplays, I was like, why does my first act suck?
Right.
And it's because I was missing these really core components that weren't
Mhm.
drilled or weren't, I don't want to say drilled, but weren't like worked out or
Mhm.
trained into me. There we go. That's a good
Right.
word for it.
But it's interesting because, like you said, that I mean, look, you were still cognizant enough to
Yeah.
realize the first act's not working for me, and why is that? And look, there could be a myriad of reasons, but what's helpful in workshop too is you're finally getting feedback. When
Yeah,
you're
that's
writing
true.
by yourself,
Mhm.
it's writing in a vacuum. Sometimes you cannot see the forest from the trees,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
it takes just an outside, non-involved voice to say, "Oh, I like what you're doing here, but I didn't understand
Yeah.
this at all." It's like, "Oh, okay, thank you."
You know what
Hmm.
though? On the other end of that,
Yeah.
I didn't go to film school for undergrad.
Well, okay.
And I had the opportunity. I was going to go
Hmm.
to like one of the smaller academies out here in Los Angeles,
Hmm.
and I struggled with this choice of, do I go to a traditional 4-year university and take 6 years to graduate, or do I go to film school?
Right.
And so I chose the former,
Hmm.
and I went to Arizona State, and
Hmm.
I majored in English.
Okay.
And I think that set me up
Yeah.
for success more than any film school could have,
Absolutely. Yeah.
because I studied 19th century poetry,
Yes.
Restoration Theater,
Exactly. Yep.
old King. I read
Hmm.
King Arthur. I think it was Sir Gawain and the Green Knight
Right.
in old, like, Middle
Oh my
English,
God. Wow.
and we talked about all these like ancient stories and
Hmm.
and these oral histories
Right.
that were, stories.
Hmm.
And maybe, that's what kind of gave me the opportunity to be like, oh, there's a hole in my
Right.
writing
Hmm.
process, which then led me to film school.
Right.
But then, beyond that repetition, beyond that flexing that muscle, um, I made it a point to meet everybody.
Yes.
I was like, I'm going to take
Right.
all these producing classes as
Yeah.
well on the side. I'm going to take a bunch of CMS classes. I'm going to talk to everybody. I'm going to shake everybody's hand when I come in there.
Hmm.
I want to know everybody, because this
Right.
is my cohort. Because,
Yeah.
yes, you write in a vacuum,
Right.
and then, when you're done with your script, you go, what do I do?
Right.
It's
No.
done. Who do I send it to? You
Exactly.
don't know
No.
anybody.
No.
Yeah.
And that, to me, yeah, that is the biggest reason you go to film school, because film is a people business. It
Yeah.
is a collaborative
Mm-hmm.
process, and so you got to go and find and meet your
Mm-hmm.
people. And film school is sort of a perfect place to do that, because you're going to be surrounded for 2 years by people who, are interested in the same things that you are, who want to do the same things that you do.
Yeah.
And ideally, yeah, that is going to be your network. It's going to be the people who, you work with, you make movies with, and who hire you at the end of the day. I mean, look, I love my agent, I love my manager, but they haven't gotten me jobs. It's people that I came up, through the business with, whether I worked
Yeah.
with them as assistants or whether I went to film school with them.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, it is a people business. And the
Yeah.
faster you can sort of meet like minded people, then, yeah, the faster you're going to sort of be able to rise in this business.
Do you feel like a film school that isn't USC or UCLA,
Hmm.
let's say NYU,
Right.
AFI, like the top 10,
Hmm.
if they're not top 10, do you feel like you'll get the same experience? Even if you go and meet a bunch of people,
Hmm.
you do that repetition, or
Right.
do you think you're getting the same reps
Hmm.
and the same training and the same, not connections, but the same community?
It's hard to say, because I've only been exposed to USC and UCLA.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest, both schools are kind of like really siloed. Everyone has to
Mm-hmm.
stay in their lane. Like when I
Yeah.
when I went to USC, they made all of us wear suits and ties every single day
Mm-hmm.
to signify we're the producers.
Okay.
Now, to me, that just alienated me from
Yeah.
all
A
the
bunch
other
of
people
people.
that I
Yeah.
wanted to meet. While I was at USC, James Gray was there, John Singleton,
Mm-hmm.
Brian Singer. I didn't really get a chance to sort of hang out, or meet them, because, oh, you're a producer, you're going to wear a suit, and yeah, you're going to stay away from all of them. Similarly at UCLA, you witness all the programs are very uniquely, like,
Yeah.
okay, screenwriting just does screenwriting, directing and production just does their own stuff. Producers is one program that seems to have opened up a little more. But then you could be cynical and say, well, they just need the head count to get some of their classes,
Yeah, because like
financed.
10 kids a
Yeah,
class.
exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I wish there were more collaboration
Yeah.
among all the departments. It's something that we keep striving to do, but no one seems to be able to sort of break down those walls.
One of my
Yeah.
favorite classes was a
Mhm.
producing class. It was the first producing
Okay.
class producers take,
Uh-huh.
and it's taught by Alex Franklin, who's a former, oh my God, former
Yeah.
producer. Now he's at Anonymous, I believe.
Yeah, I think he's a
Yeah.
manager. Yeah, at
Yeah,
Anonymous.
and
Hmm.
he
Yeah.
reps below the line,
Hmm.
so cinematographers and craftspeople. And he does this thing where he brings in some of the, I don't want to say worst scripts, but like some of the most difficult scripts to read
Yeah.
that are actively being produced
Right.
and or are going to be
Yeah.
produced.
Yeah.
And it's interesting reading some of these scripts,
Oh
because
yeah.
you're like, oh,
Hmm.
that's a script. Somebody
Right.
wrote that.
Right.
And then 2 years later, you see it on the screen. You're like, huh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And some of these scripts I don't think are ever going to get made because they're
Mhm.
so out of left field.
Right.
But that class taught me so much about like the process and the craft and also gave me comfort in the fact that I could write a bad screenplay, it could still get made.
Well, hopefully it gives you the comfort that you can write better
Yeah.
than most of the screenplays are getting out there. And it's interesting to say that that's something I've incorporated into my
Hmm.
434 now every week. we read an unproduced script that's like on the blacklist or is an
Mhm.
Andrew Nichols finalist. And yeah, and uniformly, yeah, they're not the greatest sometimes, but
Yeah.
they are the ones that are being talked
Yeah.
about. And it gives our students a little more confidence and knows like, oh, I can do better than
Yeah.
this.
Mhm.
Yeah. And yeah, sometimes that's all you need sometimes in like making a movie or writing. It's just you need to have the confidence in your own vision. And
Exactly.
especially when you're starting out, it's always like, oh, I don't know, is anyone gonna like this? And
Yeah.
and
Because
yeah,
you're in a
and
vacuum.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You just don't know. And then just look, that's what got me off of my butt to go like write and make movies on my own. It was like being a reader. You read 1,000 scripts and you're like, okay, this is crap, this is garbage, this is crap. Wait, they're represented by CAA? What the
Yeah.
hell? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I can do better than that. And so yeah, that's what sort of motivates you to get out there and yeah, and say, okay, well, if you can do better than that, show me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I interned for a couple companies and I
Mm-hmm.
read some of the scripts that came in and did coverage on them and I was like,
Right.
pass.
Right.
Don't do this.
Right.
This needs a lot of work.
Yeah.
Got made.
Yeah.
It didn't
Exactly.
didn't change. Got made. Did it do well? I don't know. Did it?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Um
Yeah.
it was something I wanted to say.
Mm.
What was it? What was it? It was film school, producing class.
Cohort.
No, it
Mm.
was like such a good nugget too.
Ooh.
Ooh. You said screenplays, confidence.
Mm-hmm. Vacuum. Force from the trees.
Forgot.
Okay.
All right. Let's
Keep talking
yeah.
and hopefully we'll
So
come back. You can edit.
yeah, we'll edit that part out.
Right.
Leave it in.
I know.
So like having these unique experiences where,
Mhm.
there is a benefit and like sometimes it might not be, you know, try again. So we've kind of talked about both the pros and cons
Right.
of going to film school. When do you think it's worth the cost?
Mhm. That is hard
Yeah.
because again, my sort of the guy who sort of like pushed me off the ledge and inspired me was someone who didn't have resources,
Hmm.
and took the money he had to just go make a movie. And
Hmm.
that's a better film school than you'll probably get from actually going to film school,
Yeah.
just going out and doing it and discovering stuff for yourself. Um, but yeah, I mean, it all depends on your personality, quite honestly. There are some people who need structure,
Hmm.
and I get that,
I
like,
think I'm one of
yeah,
those people.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. My wife is like that. She likes having a steady job. She likes
Hmm.
going to an office, even though she commutes 3 hours a day to get to said office. Whereas, like, I have no idea where I'm going to be next week. And I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. Like, when I was a financial analyst, I tried the structured thing, and I realized, oh my god, this is why people drink at lunch. This is the only way I could get through the day. It was like I was having 3 martinis at lunch to just make the clock move faster. So there are personalities who need that structure, and that's not a knock against them.
Yeah.
My wife is very good at what she does, but she needs a place to go to. She needs an office. She needs a 9 to 5, and so I think film school helps those people. Whereas like some is like, I'm just gonna fly by the seat of my pants. We're just gonna make
Yeah.
a movie. Let's go.
I don't remember if you said this or
Mhm.
if I heard this somewhere else, but this idea that you get out of film school what you put in.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, I don't think I
And
said it, but yeah, that's a very astute
I forget
observation.
where I
Yeah.
heard that.
Hmm.
But yeah, like I remember coming in and I literally gave everything I could to those 2 years.
Right. Yeah.
And I got back a lot.
Yeah.
I got back
No.
a job,
No.
oddly enough,
Hmm.
an incredible community that I still
Right.
connect with every day and give, my material to
Hmm.
who read and give me notes or
Yeah.
even who work at production companies
Yeah.
and are now like my friends and
Right.
colleagues.
Exactly.
And then but I also see the other end of it where people maybe are expectant of something to happen
Yes. Yep.
and then they come out of it and like, well, what did I get?
Yeah. No,
What did you
the
put in?
expectations are the killer, and it's
Yeah.
something we struggle with every year because, look, I mean, UCLA is one of the top film schools in the world, and so being accepted is a huge achievement.
Yeah.
And I feel that a lot of our students, when they get there, feel like, okay, well, I'm done.
Yeah.
It's like,
No,
what?
you just
you
started.
know, no, you
Yeah.
were just getting
Yeah.
started, and it's going to
Hmm.
be 5 or 6 years after you leave here that,
Hmm.
before you get to even the first rung of the ladder. But that expectation of being, at this, highly reputable film school they feel that you should just give us the job right now.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, no, this is just the entry point. And like you said, you've got to hustle. We're not going to spoon feed you. One of the complaints that we got from a lot of the first year screenwriters, like, well, I don't think you're teaching enough theory or concepts, And I said, okay, well, that's why I started doing these mini lectures, like props. Okay, here's like tricks you can use in screenwriting. But look, Phyllis, who's the head of her program, it's kind of like, and she astutely pointed, is like, this is a master's program. If you need to go back and understand what inciting incident and first act break means, you should not be here. And it's like, oh yeah, you're right. This is an MFA program. So we're not going to spoon feed you. But again, it's like, it's like every studio exec or every investor, everyone's looking for what is the formula, what is the algorithm that'll get me to success. And you talk to any filmmaker, anybody who's like made had any success in this business, it's a different path.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, like Robert gave his body over to science, made a $7,000 film. Quentin worked in a video store, for like ages and ages with Roger Avery. I came at it, working through the assistant. Guillermo del Toro was a model maker and like it would just sketch and do storyboards and concept art. Everyone has a different path into it. Yeah.
I use the analogy of a treehouse. So like in corporate America, you climb a ladder, right?
Yep.
The treehouse is success.
Yeah.
The ladder is what you climb to get to success.
Yeah.
In filmmaking, you have the same thing, a tree with a treehouse but no ladder.
Right.
How do you get to the treehouse?
Yeah. Yep.
However you want.
You got to figure it out. Yeah. You scale a fence, build your own ladder.
Yeah. Build your own treehouse.
Yeah, build your own treehouse. Yeah. I mean, there's several ways into it. But again, at the end of the day, what it does come down to is your work. Yeah. Work begets more work. The more you throw work out there in the universe, the film gods will find some path for you. Like, I've had this great working relationship with Luc Besson for 10 years now. I still to this day do not know how he got a hold of me.
Really?
Yeah. Like, look, everyone's taking credit for it. My agent's like, okay, yeah, no. I sent that script to like, okay, I need to call him back. What's his number? Oh, I don't have it. It's like, then how'd you send him? Okay, forget it. Oh yeah, no, we sent that script that we worked on. I sent it to like Luke's lawyer. It's like, okay, what's his lawyer's name? I don't know. Okay, you're all full of shit.
Yeah.
I still to this day have no idea what he read of mine, what he liked about it. He called me personally out of the blue and said,
Actually, funny enough, a gentleman who worked with Luke at EuropaCorp and now is running his own company in France, emailed me out of the blue.
Yeah.
And I still have no idea how. Yeah. Like, was it through UCLA? Like, what did you read? Where did you find it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And he's like, I love the script. I was like, where did you find it? I didn't ask him. I was so like, oh my God.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I was like, don't rock the boat.
Right. Well, it's funny because I made that mistake once before. Like, I had a meeting with Mimi Leader, and she started going off on the script, like, oh, and what you did here was wonderful. And I'm going, what script did you read? It was like, and she gave me the side. I was like, I did not write that. Meeting over. So when Luke called, I was like, I just nodded. Great, super. So I didn't discuss it. I still to this day have no idea if it was even my script he read, but it's like, I'm not letting go of this opportunity. So.
Thank you and nod.
Exactly. Just saying, great, super. What can I do to help you?
I wanted to touch on a little bit of like what I kind of prepped for coming into film school, because I read a lot of screenplays. For the longest time, I was like, no novels, no books, screenplays only. And it taught me a lot of that structure and that format.
Yeah, it's completely different writing style.
But now, as I'm running this grant program that's tied with the pod called the Indywood Screenwriting Fund, I'm going to do this thing with some of the writers. Is I'm giving them 3 different screenplays that are really good.
Okay.
Or at least good movies or successful movies, but the scripts are vastly different.
Really?
And it's Tar, Sound of Metal, and Lost in Translation.
Okay.
And you watch
no
those...
genre movies?
Yeah. Well, I mean, actually, do you have any genre movies to suggest?
God. There is so Eric Heiser, who wrote The Arrival.
Okay.
He wrote the script for Bird Box. And even though, look, I'm not really in love with the movie, but the way he wrote it was amazing. So, those of you familiar with the movie, there's stuff that happens in the present day when they're stuck in the house. And there's, stuff that, that's a past, and stuff that happens in the present as Sandra Bullock is trying to get the 2 kids to sort of safety. So, normally, if you and I were writing it, would say, oh, flashback to, or maybe if we're daring, we put it in like italics or different color. No. Every time they went to present day, Eric Heiserer wrote it as a haiku. So just from the style of writing, you know exactly what the time frame you're
That's
in is.
interesting.
It is really fascinating. It's like, wow, that was bold, and yeah, just the effort he put in the haiku. It's actually kind of beautiful and poetic, and puts you in that space of the wilderness and the suspense of it. I thought it was just a masterful job.
That's something we should have mentioned in the previous episode
Yeah.
on craft. But
Uh-huh.
no, we're
Right.
we're addenduming.
Okay.
Amending
I'm
it?
doing it.
We're doing
But
addendum.
yes, Eric Heiser, UCLA alumni.
Yeah.
Yes, we're taking applications in November. No.
I think, film school gets a unique, like a weird good and bad rap
Yeah.
because it can be something that wastes your time and
Yeah,
money and teaches
exactly.
you nothing
Yeah.
and leaves you more like emotionally and creatively destitute.
Yep.
Because that's something I struggled with as well. Is I got so into the structure,
Mhm.
I started second guessing myself, and I stopped having. You know
That's
what?
not
I
good.
stopped
Yeah.
having fun.
Okay,
And
yeah.
so
No,
that took me
that's
about a
not
year or two to be like, how do I have fun again?
right.
Because I remember before I was having a good time.
Yeah.
None of it was, also though, none of it was real
Mhm.
before grad school. And after grad school became so real.
Again, it's that weight of expectation.
Yeah.
You've got to get that off your back. And that is
Yeah.
always like,
That took a
I
while.
need to get a job. The screenplay needs to sell. The minute you put yourself in that space, you are doomed to fail.
Yeah.
You really are, because it is too much for any one person to carry. Yeah.
I want to touch on what you just said. Like,
Mhm.
I need to get a job.
Right.
And I think looking at what you did, because you had a career, you were an accountant at Paramount,
Yeah.
and you were like, I'm going to shift into this creative space
Right.
while still being an accountant at Paramount.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of writers expect to come out of grad school, especially out of a MFA program.
Yep.
So come out of film school, especially a grad program, like the one at UCLA, and they expect to have a job.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
hire me, company,
Exactly, yeah.
and here's your salary. Like that's
Right.
like every writer for the most part is a contract worker.
Yeah.
We're all
Yeah.
freelance
You're all independent. Yep.
until we die.
Yep.
And this idea of I need a job can be such a weight on your craft.
Yep.
And on
It
your
is.
creative output.
Mhm.
It could completely decimate your career.
It can, yeah.
And so something my wife and I, when we taught a seminar at Viterbo University to young filmmakers, was get a job.
Yeah.
It could be entertainment adjacent.
Right.
It could be like a
Could be
whole
anything.
different
Yeah.
career.
Yep.
You can be an accountant.
Right.
If you have money in your pocket and you're
Mhm.
paying bills and you don't have to worry about eating and
Yep.
sleeping
Mhm.
and having a roof over your head,
Yeah.
that door to creativity just flies open.
Yep. Absolutely.
And if you have to worry about those three things, you don't even think about creativity.
Yep.
And when you put that kind of pressure on a script, it's going to be bad.
Yeah, it is. No, I remember the years where I was not as, productive or even
Mhm.
successful
Mm-hmm.
was when I finally bought my house.
Mm-hmm.
First time I bought a house, and my agent at the time told me, it's like, okay, you're going to have to be less selective about the work you choose.
Mm.
And something about that just it killed a little part of me inside, and it made me a little desperate. Like the business manager saying, okay, it's going to cost you this much per month just to keep the lights on. And as soon as you have that sort of anchor around your neck, you start to panic a little bit. But yeah, and it's hard. I get it. We all need to make a living. Yeah, we all want to be able to go out and eat. We want to be able to put a roof over our heads. But yeah, starting out, I rented. I was paying $300 a month to live in somebody's garage on a mattress in the garage next to the guy's motorcycle. Was just trying to keep the expenses as low as possible, and that was where I was really engaged in creating stuff. Yeah, the minute I moved it up to a $3,000 mortgage, it was when I started to panic.
Yeah,
I was like, so yeah, it is really, really hard to sort of be creative when you're worrying about just putting food on the table. It can be really, really difficult. And then and again, my parents are just they shifted from law school applications suggesting you should go be a notary.
Yeah.
Going, what?
they're pulling out those applications.
Right. It's okay, if law school is too hard for you, just go be a notary. It's oh my God, you think so low me. Not that there's anything wrong with being a notary, but yeah.
I have a career, I have a house, I have a
right,
family.
exactly. No, and that's honestly one of the reasons I went to go make Weekend in Taipei, to show them and show my family in Taiwan, this is what I do for a living. Yeah.
And it's cool.
Yeah.
Go see Weekend in Taipei.
Right. But it's hard. Yeah. I mean, yeah, but you're right. It's just like you just need to find a job.
Yeah.
You need to find something that's going to take that burden of financial pressure. So, when you talk about multi-hyphenate, so, add slumlord to my
Yeah.
hyphenate because like every paycheck, big paycheck I've gotten, I immediately put it into income property.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm set up where, I'm getting rental income, from tenants if I'm not getting paid to write or, make movies. So I at least have that as sort of like a foundation,
Mm-hmm.
but, or like Marywell, I don't know. I mean, like, look, Ong Lee, for years, was a stay-at-home dad writing
Mm-hmm.
while his wife was a doctor working. So yeah, so it helps immensely if you can solve that
Yeah.
financial, question. Yeah. So, to like, like Phyllis Naj, our esteemed, head of screenwriting, who got the Oscar nomination for writing Carol, she's working at a museum gift shop in London,
Hmm.
while writing Carol,
That's
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. So, and she says, look, you can take a job that is part of the industry,
Yeah.
which is, look, I think it's great, but it can become golden handcuffs. I
Yeah, it
mean,
can. It
look,
can.
I mean, at the peak, when I left, as an assistant, I was making, like $150,000 a year, as an assistant. That's hard to leave
Yeah,
behind.
it
And
is.
also knowing there is a ladder here, there's a straight pathway. I am being groomed to run the studio in 10 years, you know. But my heart wasn't in it. I look at my boss's lives and just go, yeah, I don't want to do what you do for a living. I don't want to have to do a breakfast and lunch and dinner with somebody every day and then like every night go to some event and schmooze and like
Yeah.
that is and then work on 12 different movies at the same time. That just it feels like it would kill my soul.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So but that pathway was yeah was there for me. But I decided let me jump off the cliff and see where the creative side takes me.
Coming back to that,
Yeah.
you said Marywell.
Uh-huh.
We
Which is
we.
why congrats, your wife is doing
Thank
great.
you. Yeah.
1923, she's killing it.
I think what we're trying to we're trying to drill down into is don't put like that kind of pressure
Exactly. Don't
on the
put yourself in a position like that.
on
Yeah.
the immediate success of your
Right.
creative output
Yeah. Hmm.
because you're just going to tarnish it.
Yeah. Because I hate to say, you know, look, I wish this were a merit based,
Yeah.
industry,
Yeah.
but a lot of it is just luck and
Mm-hmm.
timing. You can be the greatest screenwriter in the world. You can be kind of a okay screenwriter, but
Mm-hmm.
it's just about being in the right place at the right time, finding those opportunities. You don't know when or where
Yeah.
they're going to come from, but the as long as you keep putting yourself out there and putting your work out
Yeah.
there, yeah, trust me, it will come.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
keep telling our students that. It's like that scene from Shakespeare in Love where Jeffrey Rush, the the producer, like, well, how's this gonna happen? It'll all work out. Just
Yeah.
have faith.
Yeah.
You just gotta have faith. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, there have been years, yeah, a lot of years where I've made $0, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just like, okay, well, maybe I'm gonna go be a notary. I don't know. Yeah, but but as soon as I'm ready to give up, I'll go see a movie that re-inspires me, or
Yeah.
get drawn back
Yeah.
in, and then yeah, lo and behold, I'll get a phone call saying, hey, would you be interested in working on this? Yeah, it will work itself out. You just have faith. You have to stick with it.
It's a
Mhm.
lifelong I think
Oh yeah,
devotion to craft
it
and to
really is. Yeah.
yeah I guess also I keep hearing in my head
Right.
someone asking from the other side of this microphone,
Mhm.
oh, but how do I put my stuff out there?
Right. Any way you can.
Yeah.
Any way you can. What like I know
Festivals.
that like screenwriting contests,
Hmm.
like people poo poo it, they have sort of limited and it's hard because it is an industry into itself. There
Yeah.
are like, fees to enter and all that
Mhm.
type of stuff.
Which
But
is why you should look into the Indiewood Screenwriting Fund because we cover your fees
there you
for
go.
screenplay
Nice.
competitions.
But
Yeah.
yeah, but just getting your work out there to be read, even if you don't win. I had a friend from USC Film School.
Hmm.
He entered like the Rhode Island or
Ah,
North, yeah, just some
yeah.
obscure, film contest. He did not win, but the reader who read his script called him and said, okay, I know you didn't win, but I have a producer who's interested in
Yeah.
material like this,
Hmm.
and hooked him up with a
Yeah.
Lifetime movie.
Hmm.
So yeah, so there are avenues, but you holding on to your script and it's like, oh, it's not ready for the world,
Yeah.
or I need to get it to an agent or manager. No, just send it out there in the world. It, release it out into the wild. It will find somebody out there.
Yeah.
I don't know how, but
It just
it just
does.
it just
Yeah.
does.
It
Yeah,
just
it's just
does.
weird. It just
Yeah.
does. But yeah, the more content you can create, while sort of like honing your craft and just sending it out there in the world, yeah, trust me, it will pay off.
Yeah.
You know.
So is film school worth it? I don't know.
It's a question.
Yeah.
It depends on sort of your own what you need. What is it? If you were expecting from film school to be hired, with a degree like law or medicine as soon as you graduate, that will not happen.
Yeah.
That is not worth your money.
I don't think that could like even back in the 90s that wasn't how it was working.
No,
Yeah.
yeah. Like I graduated in '93 or no '91,
Mhm.
and my MFA didn't mean it. It's just like I thought, but it's from USC. It's just like who cares? It's like,
Yeah.
oh my
But you
god,
put in a lot and you got a lot back.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah,
So I think if you are planning to go to film school, meet everybody you can,
exactly,
write as much as you
yeah,
can, intern
yeah,
anywhere you can
yep,
that is in the entertainment industry. And also, the industry is evolving.
yep,
Things are changing.
yeah,
There's so many more opportunities for
yeah,
exhibition,
yep,
so many more opportunities for where you can be based
yeah,
now.
yeah,
I mean, it's still kind of we're still experiencing new growing pains. Like
yep,
Doctor Who, it's
right,
the new iteration,
right.
like, and he's still having a or
Still not being readily accepted yet.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think if you're planning on going to film school, make sure you also have like a robust education and a robust knowledge of things outside of what a
Right.
camera does,
Yeah.
what screenplay
Don't be
structure
a
is.
technician.
Yeah,
Anybody can be a technician.
yeah.
You got to have a story to tell.
Screen.
That's what's going to make you a filmmaker. That's going to make you a good
Mm-hmm.
writer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I anybody can learn how to operate the camera.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But knowing why you want to operate the camera is going to be the more important thing.
On that,
Mm-hmm.
I think we'll wrap it up. Not only this episode, but this wonderful guest that I have sitting next to me. George, thank you so much
Yeah.
for your
Hey,
insight, for
pleasure to be
sharing.
here. It's great to see you after 7 years.
Yeah, it's
And
been a
created
minute.
this whole empire that
A slowly growing
coming and
empire.
visit.
Yeah.
You're doing us proud. So
Thank you. Well, hopefully we'll see another film come out from you,
yeah,
and we'll have you back on the pod to talk about
yeah,
that.
okay, yeah.
Until
Boy,
then,
it's got to be that script we collab on.
that's true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the,
yeah,
the
yeah.
John Wick thing. Yeah,
That'll be a
so,
lot of fun. I've been
yeah.
thinking about that.
Okay,
So we'll,
because I need a chat. We'll discuss
yeah,
later.
yeah, we'll
Right.
we'll do it,
Should
and
we
then we'll
tease
come
the
back.
audience now? Or establish it here, and then 5 years from now
Yeah.
we'll have
We're
another pod where we
coming back to it.
But it all started here, people.
Thank you to everyone listening at home. George, thank you again, and we'll see you next week.
All right.
Thank you for listening to the Anywood Podcast. You can find us anywhere you find your podcasts or on YouTube on the Cinematography for Actors YouTube channel. See you next week.
From the CFA Network, Cinematography for Actors is bridging the gap through education and community building. Find out about us and listen to our other podcast at cinematographyforactors.com.
Cinematography for Actors Institute is a 501c3 nonprofit. For more information on fiscal sponsorship, donations, because we're tax exempt now, so it's a tax write-off, and upcoming education, you can email us at contact@cinematographyforactors.com. Thanks.